Hi, my name is Cadence Haney, and I am the 8th grade computer and careers teacher and 7th grade math teacher at Osawatomie Middle School. Our school is a Kansas redesigned school, and we are currently working on all 5 R's. We have a redesign team that's been put together, and it's made up of the principal, our school counselor, the 8th grade history teacher, 7th grade science teacher, and 6th grade English teacher. They've gone to many redesign meetings and meetings for KISA, making sure that our new goals and accreditation align with the standards and everything that we're trying to work on in our school, whether we want to keep it or change it. And they actually have a meeting that is going to be taking place before February 22nd to present back to the Board of Education on what our plans are for next year. So here are some examples of things that we've been focusing on for the 5 R's and how that has impacted our instruction and how our teachers are supporting those in our classroom and how we interact with those kids. So relationships. We have a jumpstart meeting, which is basically a short 10-minute assembly at the start of every single day. This is the time where the principal goes through a PowerPoint presentation that has standard school announcements about upcoming activities and events or things going on in the school. But in addition to that, we also spend time recognizing other staff for like staff appreciation or recognizing student members for their achievements through the community or anything like that. He spends some time talking about regular social skills that a lot of middle schoolers need, understanding that when something goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. Middle school is not it. We sometimes have brought in guest speakers, motivational speakers, like Bill Cordes has come and talked about yoga whippy, you only get out what you put in, things like that. So we utilize that jumpstart time, and that happens every single day. Ourselves as educators are trying to reestablish the relationship between teacher and student throughout the school, which requires a lot of consistency. So students have an attitude in this school building. The culture is all around negative, and that's been shifting lately. Open defiance is something that is a good example that we have really locked down on, that where if you ask a student to do something and they want to argue with you or say, well, why do I have to do that? Or anything like that, that is talking back where they're resisting against you asking them to do something. That is something that the principal has been really supportive of teachers in the classroom, saying, no, we're not going to do that. If a teacher asks you to do something, you need to do it. And under no circumstances are you just going to tell them no. So that's something that has changed over the course of this year. We have been working on mindfully giving all students opportunities to respond, OTRs. So that could be when they enter your classroom, giving them a fist bump and just giving them an opportunity to do that fist bump back, or telling them good morning, greeting every single one of your students at the door, telling them good morning. That way they have that opportunity to respond to you, tell you good morning as well. Just little things like that that build relationships and build connections with all of our students. Hourly planners, that's something that we're working on students to develop good organizational skills. This is still part of our relationship, giving them that time to write down in their planner so they can keep track of activities they have going on outside of school and connecting everything that's going on in the classroom in the planner to take back home and communicate to mom and dad. So it's improving our relationships with the parents as well, having that better communication there. Relevance, second R. So the biggest things that we are working on right now is making sure we provide the why. So students, there's studies that have shown when students understand the reasons why we're learning something, it's more real to them and they will learn better. We have a Super 7 that we have gotten from Harry Wong. Every single teacher has Super 7 in their classroom that they go over at the start of every single class. Number 2 on Super 7 is activate your brain, which is part of providing the why and connecting that knowledge from a previous lesson or previous knowledge, so the students have that to go off of for the lesson for that day. Responsive culture. Our school is a Carol Dweck-minded school, so we believe in promoting the effort more than, or at least just as much as, results. That way those students can develop a positive focus on trying. Classroom management plans, we have goals on reducing stress in the classroom, so making sure that students do not feel isolated or don't feel judged to voice their ideas. Really creating low stress environments where students feel free to express their ideas and communicate with peers and adults. We are also very conscious about being trauma aware. We have a lot of students who have suffered trauma, and understanding certain things that can be a trigger for them in the classroom, and just being mindful of that. Rigor, we have been working a lot on rigor, and we have used Bloom's taxonomy as a goal for developing certain levels of difficulty in the classroom. Creating graphic organizers that elevate your level of rigor, trying to remove any time where we're doing more for the kids that they could be doing themselves, like reading directions themselves. That also gives them that practice of reading through the material and identifying keywords and phrases and analyzing what needs to be delivered based on what they have read. Giving students opportunity to write more and making sure that we're expecting them to write incomplete sentences. And then that also gives the students the opportunity to think more deeply. When you are using a certain level of Bloom's taxonomy to deliver the question, students think much more deeply if you ask them to create something or analyze something than if you're just asking them to identify a word or match a word to a definition or something like that. And then finally, results. The biggest ways we have been tracking results with our changes throughout this year. One, we use AIMSweb, which is a standardized assessment that many schools use, so you may or may not be familiar with it. So tracking their progress through that. We are currently developing scoreboarding strategies so we can help students keep track of their progress every single day, and not necessarily a grade, but just giving them some type of your performance today was satisfactory or was not satisfactory. Maybe it's just a chart that has a smiley face or a frowny face or a straight face, somewhere in the middle. Just giving kids that communication about how they're doing when they may or may not be checking their grades regularly. So making sure that we are making it impossible for them to say, what, I didn't know that wasn't right, or you told me that was right, or just removing that opportunity for them to put their responsibility for their education on anyone else. And then we also use formative teaching. So we do formatives every single day and record data. It's kind of along the same lines that I just described. It's not necessarily for a grade. It could just be, whether students were understanding the main concept from the lesson. At the end of the lesson, you have a note card. They write down the big idea they're supposed to get. They turn in that note card. You can quickly go through and say, okay, 13 out of 17 students understood it, and the others did not, and you can mark that in a notebook, and you can track that every single day. That way, for the next lesson, oh, well, if over half of my students didn't get it yesterday, we need to spend more time going over that tomorrow, instead of just moving along with the pacing guide, regardless of whether the kids are getting it or not. That also helps us, so by the time the quiz or the test rolls around, you already know whether the students were getting it or whether they were not. That is the rundown of all of the R's that we have been working on. It's been a lot of changes and a lot of constant changes. We're constantly reevaluating what we're doing in the classroom and how can we do it better. And that is something that I expect to continue well throughout the rest of this year and into the next. So, thank you.